The lawsuit filed by employees of Houston Methodist Hospital over COVID-19 vaccine requirements has been thrown out by a federal judge who says the requirement didn't count as coercion since the doctors could work somewhere else. A Houston-based attorney for the dissenting doctors have promised to appeal that case, adding that his clients are committed to fighting this unjust policy. And the U.S. is seeing sharp state-by-state differences in teenage vaccination rates. This ever since the Pfizer vaccine was cleared for emergency use last month. Nearly half of all adolescents in the northeastern states of Vermont and Massachusetts, they've received their first dose, while southern states like Mississippi and Louisiana are seeing less than 10% of adolescents having received their first dose. Also leaders of the G7 are joining calls for a new study into the origins of COVID-19. This following widespread criticism of the first WHO investigation in Wuhan, China. The leaders also voicing now criticism of China's human rights abuses, with U.S. President Biden saying G7 and other democracies need to contest autocratic governments worldwide. Those are some of the stories we're following for you right now. For breaking news, head to Newsmax.com.
Some shocking comments from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Listen.
We did not rebuke her. We acknowledged that she made a clarification. So before we go too far down a path.
Yeah, these aren't my words.
No, I
these
understand
are
that.
your caucus members' words.
No, that's a member.
Yeah.
That's a caucus.
A caucus member.
A caucus member.
Yeah. So I just wanted to get your response to that.
No, I'm not responding that. The Congresswoman Omar is a valued member of our caucus.
The House Speaker there appearing to defend the Minnesota lawmaker after the Congresswoman made remarks appearing to equate the actions of the U.S. and Israel countries to terrorist organizations like Hamas and the Taliban. The panelists are here to discuss this. Hal Lambert, Jennifer Kearns, Rick Green. Good to see everyone here. I believe we're starting off here with Rick. The speaker went on to say on CNN to clear the air after a group of House Democrats released a statement criticizing Omar's comments, which said in part, to catch you up, quote, drawing false equivalencies between democracies like the U.S. and Israel and groups that engage in terrorism like Hamas and the Taliban foments prejudice and undermines progress toward a future of peace and security for all, end quote. Rick, your thoughts on that? The speaker, no rebuke for those remarks.
Well, when even her fellow Democrats are calling her out, it tells you how out of step she is. I did have to chuckle a little bit just watching the interview as Speaker Pelosi almost panicked because she was actually being questioned in a somewhat tough way by the major media. They're so unused to that. They never have to deal with that they almost panic when they get asked a tough question. But look, this is the Democrat, again, this is the leftist dream. This is where the Democrats are. This is the same speaker that knelt and bowed down to the Marxist ideology that all white people are inherently racist, that America is bad. They've been tearing down America for years. So the idea that one of their members would compare America to terrorist organizations like Hamas and throw them into that category, that's not that far removed from their actual worldview.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and there have been calls for her removal based on that comment that she had equated. Again, we heard U.S. and Israel, the Taliban as well. The comparison there. Jennifer, should we expect to see Republicans call for her removal? Could we see something more from even Kevin McCarthy stepping forward?
I think we will, but the question is, will it actually happen? And that's where it's just really a numbers game. You know, elections have consequences, and I think that won't happen until or unless the Republicans gain control. And by the way, what is standing between us and Ilhan Omar and her view that the United States is just like a terrorist group, just like Hamas or the Taliban, is only 5 seats in the U.S. Congress. That is what is at stake in the 2022 midterms. Look, I am so grateful, Emma, to be part of a party whose leader doesn't have to go on the air and clarify or defend their member actually comparing the United States of America, the greatest country that ever existed in the world, who has stood up for others for 200 years, and defend it being compared to a terrorist group like the Taliban or Hamas. It's just atrocious.
Hal Lambert, you're going to obviously see political parties standing up for their own, but is this a different situation? Is this a different scenario the speaker is finding herself in?
No, I don't think so. I think she's going to continue to find herself in this, though. But it was interesting watching that interview. The clip didn't show the whole thing, but Pelosi did a classic deal where she interrupted over and over and didn't let the host actually read the statement that was read because she didn't want the viewer to hear it. And for her to say that it wasn't a rebuke is just a criticism of what was said, which it clearly was a rebuke. So she's even saying, don't believe your lying eyes. We didn't rebuke her because she's scared of the Twitter mob. And if you look at social media after they rebuked Congresswoman Omar, they were all on the side of Congresswoman Omar. So the left in this country is not on the side of Pelosi. They're on the side of where Omar is. And they're all saying, well, you can criticize the United States. Why can't you criticize the United States? Because that's where the left is. So she's got a difficult balancing act, which is why she's going to lose the House in 2022. They're done. They're not going to keep it because of exactly these kinds of problems. And she's going to be forced to continue to defend them. She's not going to go the other way.
Okay, it will be very interesting to watch. We talk again about the divide within the Republican Party. Clearly, we've seen examples in the Democrat Party as well. Hal Lambert, Rick Green, Jennifer Kearns, thank you very much. You at home, you can check out Jen's column titled Kamala Harris Being Set to Fail. You can check that out at newsmax.com. It's a great read. Thanks, guys.
All right, meanwhile.